Here's a few news stories. Um, this one is very nice. A presentation about Windows forensics. And this I thought was quite useful. When you log into Windows machine, you sometimes leave credentials on that machine and sometimes you don't with different activities. I know Microsoft always says right-click run as. And I don't see that here. They claim that doesn't leave credentials. Run as a service, though, apparently does. As an LSA secret, which is pretty rude. LSA secrets are storing passwords in plain text on Windows machines, and I thought they got rid of them after Windows XP, but apparently not always. And but NetUse doesn't store it locally. A lot of things do store it locally. So anyway, that's useful information, and there's a whole presentation with more stuff there. So that's pretty cool. So Microsoft is really being evil with Windows 11. They're trying to stop you from using other browsers. They're hijacking the links that open pages to open only in Edge. If you try to go to Edge, it's going to pop up a box telling you not to download Chrome or anything. What's amazing to me about this is exactly the stuff they did in 1998 that led to them getting an antitrust lawsuit. So they seem to have totally reverted back to the bad behavior that got them sued by the government before. Although, when I put that on Twitter, one guy pointed out, he says they only have 6% of the browser market now, so they're not going to be liable for antitrust lawsuits. I don't know if that's true, because it's not the browser market that matters, it's the operating system market. And I think this is anti-competitive abuse of their position, but we will see. Obviously, somebody at Microsoft has decided that there's no legal risk and they can afford to be as evil as they want. They might be right. I would think just from a political point of view, they're probably right, because I don't think the Democrats are going to have enough time to do anything about antitrust before they lose power. But that's one. Anyway, we will see. So Mozilla made this library, NSS, a library of National Security Services library that a lot of people use. And can the computer vendors sue Microsoft? Well, yes, they can, and that's how it works. Last time it was Netscape that sued Microsoft and said by giving away Internet Explorer for free and building it in a desktop and everything and telling people you have to use Internet Explorer, they have killed our Netscape market. So it would be Google, for example, might sue Microsoft for punishing Chrome. That's how it would start, and then it would go up through the courts. That's one way to go. It could also be the FTC doing it. Yeah, so I mean, I wonder. But Microsoft, I'm sure, has plenty of lawyers. But it's amazing. They're absolutely doing what they've already been busted for before. Anyway, of course, they used to do a lot of other rotten stuff, which they never really did get punished for. They used to punish stores that didn't carry... if a store would carry any Linux computers, they would refuse to let them have any Microsoft products to sell at all, to kill them. So they would force people not to promote any alternative operating system. And they also secretly funded a bunch of lawsuits to mess with Linux for years, even decades. They did a lot of dirty tricks to crush their competition in obviously abusive and I would say illegal ways. I mean, the way you're supposed to crush your competition is by making a better product at a better price. But the alternative is just play some dirty trick to get rid of your competition, and Microsoft was the king of that. And looks like they're moving back in that direction. Anyway, so Mozilla fuzzes this library, which is what you're supposed to do, where you send random inputs to all the things. Apparently, even that failed to pick up a very simple buffer overflow because their fuzzer only went to a maximum size of 10,000, and they have a whole bunch of signatures, which if they're bigger than 16,000, then you have a buffer overflow. So it has shown a defect in Mozilla's security procedure, and a bunch of people are using these NSS libraries, and they're going to have to update them. Didn't Apple bail them out in a way? No, I don't think, not in the 1998 lawsuit. The 1998 lawsuit hinged on a Republican getting into office and putting in Ashcroft as the Attorney General, who dropped the case. Which is what I think they're betting on again. They're betting Republicans will get back in, and they therefore won't mess with big business because they don't. But that whole thing hinged on an election. But maybe Apple had. Now, nowadays, they can probably claim they're not a monopoly anymore because Apple has a lot of the market. And that might give them a defense against some of the charges. Anyway, this is an interesting technique I didn't know about. If you have RTF files, which is rich text format, it is now a TXT file is considered safe. It's just data, it doesn't contain any code. And an RTF file does have some formatting capabilities. And but apparently, RTF has some fields in something called an RTF template, and you can put a URL in a template field, and then when you open the RTF file, it will go to that URL and download code. So you can put a link to malicious code inside an RTF file. They call it RTF template injection. And apparently this is being used to install malware on machines. So it's an interesting fact. I remember there was a Bubble Boy attack decades ago where they managed to stick some kind of malicious code in an RTF file, which had been considered safe. And this is yet another way to do it. It was the other way around. Microsoft allowed iOS to use its productivity suite. I don't know anything about that. I never heard of that having anything to do with the lawsuit. As far as I know, the lawsuit was over Internet Explorer versus Netscape Navigator. I don't think Microsoft Office was involved at all. But maybe there's something else I never knew about there. Never heard of Microsoft getting sued for Office. What they wanted to do was break them up into two companies, one for Windows and one for Office. But I don't remember I remember getting sued for Office. Could have happened, though. If you run a business in America, you get sued all the time. Anyway, I see it's 10 after, so I think I'll just stop this.